I am Heather, and today I'm going to be tackling some of the troubleshooting tips that I have for falling in love with your Saint makeup. So, if you're watching this video, you probably either have gotten the Saint, maybe you're having some trouble with it, or you're thinking about making a purchase or being color matched, but you're not sure of what to expect, how it's different, and you want to anticipate some problems that you might have. So, either way, I am so excited to be sharing some tips that will help you work through some of the issues that you might have when you first try out the Saint makeup. So we're going to dive right into one of the most common things that I hear because this makeup, it's a cream foundation and it's really different than probably anything that you have used before. So whether you've used a liquid foundation or a CC cream, a powder foundation, unless it's another cream product, and even then it's probably going to be quite different. And so the application process is going to be different as well. But if you're one of the few, and it doesn't happen very often, but if you're one of the few that do have some problems, one of the most common ones I see is people say, oh, it's like sliding around, or it feels like heavy, or it feels a little bit oily. And if this is the case, there are one of two problems. It's either that you're using way too much, that you are used to applying your foundation all over your face in a thick layer, right? Like you're thinking it's like a paint, that you're like literally painting on your skin. And if you use our cream foundation, which we call highlight, in the same way that you would apply a traditional foundation, it's going to look and feel just like too much. And you guys, this makeup, the pigmentation is incredible. It has a really high pigment compared to other products out there. So a little goes a long way, okay? So that's the first thing. If you are experiencing that it feels a little bit cakey or heavy, or it's like sliding around, you're probably using too much product. So what I recommend to do is just literally tap your brush just lightly. Start with a little bit just to blend it out. If you've seen the viral cheetah hack, as they call it, where you put the little dots on your face, that's a great way to practice because it's putting on almost the right amount to where you can swirl it and blend it. That's not how I typically apply it because I find that using the brushes in one clean layer is usually the best, but it is a great way to practice on how much product is right for your skin. And make sure to remember that you're doing one layer of the contour, the highlight, the brightening highlight, and so on and so forth, that you're not trying to layer and layer, because that will definitely make it feel cakey or heavy. So the second reason that you might be having some issues is the color might not be the perfect match for right now. And that's okay. You guys, I wore the wrong color with Saint for a year before I became an artist and a year after I was an artist. And I even did a color match training on the total wrong color for my skin tone. I was using a color called Aura as my main, my one and only highlight color, meaning kind of my main foundation, if you will. And guess what? Aura is what I use to brighten now. You might think that you have fair skin, and if you are going towards the lighter end of the spectrum of our highlights, you might find that your makeup feels a little bit chalky. It's like it doesn't blend well. It kind of like almost looks, it's weird because it's cream, but it might even almost look a little bit powdery. And even if I go back and look at some of my old pictures, and maybe I'll even pop one here for you guys to see, you can see it's like just a little bit chalky. It's not as like glowy, dewy, kind of light bulb lit from within. So what you want to do to combat this is you want to go darker than you think. And likely when you've been color matched by your artist or by me, you're going to be like, wait, really? I'm amber or sandy or mango? Like some of the colors that might seem a little bit on the darker end. But let me tell you from experience, I fought those darker colors. And now like my main highlight color is amber. And I can also blend in a little bit of candlelit in there. I can also wear sandy. I could probably throw in some mango. But if I were to try to use a too light color, it would definitely pull chalky. If I were to go too dark, it's going to pull like yellow or orange. So what you want is you want that warmth and that glow, and you want it to go on really smooth and creamy. And the best way to do that is to typically go just a little bit darker than you think. And this is especially for those of you guys who are either over, I would say 35 or 40 and what we might call mature skin or headed into mature skin. Because even if you might have been fair in your 20s or certainly your teens or even in your early 30s, you might not be as fair as you think because your body has spent more time in the sun. You might have a little bit more freedom and flexibility in the time of your day, or even just being in the car if you have a commute. That can all lend to a little bit of a darker skin tone than you think. So keep that in mind, that you want to make sure that you have the right shade color in order to get that consistency that Saint is known for, which is that kind of glowy, lit from within light bulb feeling. So Another common issue that sometimes I see is when people say it's like oily or like slippery or it feels like it's sliding around on the skin, or that it's sticky or tacky. And there are two different issues, and I'll talk about both of them. But if the texture isn't doing your thing, there might be a couple reasons. So the most common reason is because likely your skin needs some time to adjust, especially if you've been using a liquid foundation, especially if it's more of a full coverage. Your skin, if you think about it, you've been putting on like this liquid that all the water, it's like a water based, right? So like the water evaporates and you're left with this almost like substance on top where your skin almost feels like it needs to produce more oil. It's almost like when you wash your hair. If you wash your hair every single day, sometimes that actually makes it more oily because your scalp is like trying to keep up with the oil production because it's like, I'm thirsty. So sometimes where you're using definitely a powder, but especially a traditional liquid foundation or sometimes even a CC cream. CC creams are great. They can just be not enough coverage for some people. If you're using a traditional foundation, your skin might need some time to adjust. So you're going to want to give a solid 1 to 2 weeks of trying this product to make sure that your skin has that opportunity to adjust. And not with everybody, but there are sometimes, and I know even some top artists that are friends of mine that didn't like the makeup at first. And they were like, oh boy, what do I do? Because they actually signed up as an artist before they got the makeup and they were like, oh no, what do I do? But they gave it time to adjust. They gave it a couple of weeks. The more they got used to it, one of my best friends, she's actually a makeup artist that is also a Saint artist, and she was trying to apply it like her traditional makeup. But once she really understood the application process was different, the color process is different here, it just clicked and it's, oh, okay, this is really a game changer. So give it some time to adjust, give it a solid 1 to 2 weeks. That is well within our 30-day return policy or the 60-day shade swap timeframe to make sure that you can get your custom colors. And don't feel bad if it's not right for you, send it back. But I want, before you do that, make sure that you have given it at least 1 to 2 weeks of a solid application time. And I have to say this too, because if you're watching this video, it's probably because you've tried it and you need the help. But I heard a rumor one time that a lot of the returns, and we don't get that many. I've been an artist for 6 years and I can count maybe on 2 hands. Like it doesn't happen very often that someone returns the makeup, but I heard that a lot of times it's people who are overwhelmed and don't even know where to start. But again, our shade swap and return policy does make it super easy, but give it a try first, okay? So the other reason that your makeup might be sliding around is what you're putting underneath it. So silicones tend to fight with any cream makeup, not just with Saint makeup. And so if you're using a primer or sometimes a certain sunscreen or sometimes a moisturizer underneath that has a heavy silicone component, it might be fighting with, it's like oil and water, right? So it's like fighting with the cream because our makeup doesn't soak into your skin like a traditional foundation. It more moves with your skin so that it doesn't settle in your lines. Like you can see that it looks like skin. And that's because it's not soaking into your skin or into your pores like most makeup does. And so for that reason, if you've got this barrier or layer of something that has that silicone effect, it's not going to stay put like it normally would, if that makes sense. So that could be the reason. I would try it without a primer, without anything that has a silicone base. And again, give it a week or two to figure out that way. And then the last reason that it might be giving you some troubles in terms of the slipping or stickiness a little bit is what lip and cheek are you using? So it's super cool that all of our lip and cheeks work for both your lips and your cheeks. And some are satin, some are semi-gloss, some are gloss. There are definitely different formulations. And if you're using one of the glossier ones, like one of the major culprits is one of my very favorite lip and cheek colors. It's called Desert Sunset. And if you got that one, it's amazing, but just know that if you use it as a cheek color, it sometimes has a tacky, or I don't want to say sticky, but it just feels a little bit kind of tacky. And as I'm touching mine, I used a mixture of what comes in the collection number 12 in level 4 is what I have on my face. And so I have a mixture of Hollywood, Frenchie, and Sadie. And I can feel that Sadie that's more of a semi-gloss on my cheeks. I love it. I love a little bit of a glowy, dewy look. So it's a little bit personal preference, but do pay attention to the level of gloss or sheen in your lip and cheeks. And maybe if you're feeling or you don't love the kind of sticky, glossy look on your cheeks, stick with that on your lips. It's beautiful as a gloss. That is one of the other reasons. Okay, this is more of a question that I get, which is, okay, you've got all these little tins, right? And you're like, okay, what's the difference? Why do I have 3 highlights and an illuminator, which one's which, but just to troubleshoot in terms of what you put where. Our highlight is what is your traditional foundation. So essentially that goes everywhere that you don't put the contour. Sometimes some people can layer if you want a little more full coverage, but I recommend doing the contour first and then putting your highlight anywhere you did not put the foundation with your darkest color correcting any areas where you might have melasma or redness or just need a little extra coverage. Sometimes under eyes, if you've got darker under eyes. Then if you have a second color, like the medium color, if you have 3, that's going to be your bridge color and go like anywhere else. And then your lightest one is what's going to be like your light bulb color to really light up like down the center of your nose, the inside of your eyes, outside of your eyes. You can put a little bit here and here just to bring that light forward in the center of your face. So if you only have the 2, don't worry. You can totally do your main highlight everywhere, your brightening. Just play around with it. Just make sure, again, not to go too light. You definitely don't want to put that lightest color of the brightening all over your face or it's going to feel chalky. So keep that in mind. But you also likely were matched with an illuminator. So the illuminators are cream or powder, and they are what other makeup brands call highlight. So sometimes people get them very confused because they're like, wait, where do I put the highlight? What's the difference? The highlight is meant to go right here on your cheekbone. You can also put a little bit on your brow bone. I'm wearing Georgia today, and it is one of the powders, and I have it here. I also have it on the center of my eyelid as a really pretty eyeshadow color. The powders are a little bit more bold. The creams are going to be a little bit more subtle, but don't put them. I have seen some people literally put the illuminator, the shimmery, underneath their eyes. You don't want to do that. You can put it right here in the inner corner and definitely right here, but you don't want shimmer or anything like in this area. That's meant to be your lightest highlight color. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, this is a common question that if you sometimes will get breakouts. Again, it doesn't happen very often, but anything that you're trying that's new, that your skin's, okay, what's happening? I knew the first time I tried a different skincare, that often tends to happen because your skin is like just resetting. And oftentimes, not often, but sometimes that can create breakouts in your skin. So if it's just almost like little kind of pimples, it's probably something that is just needs a little bit of adjustment period, and just give yourself, again, a week or 2 to see if your skin works through it. If it's like itchy or more of a rash, that could be a reaction to one of the ingredients in the products. And even though our products are very clean and natural, listen, even some people are allergic to the most natural of items that are out there. So not everybody's skin kind of plays nicely. And so just be aware of that if the thing you're going to look for is if it's itchy or more of like a rash or feels like your skin is inflamed, that's something that you might want to talk to your artist about, just seeing that there could be an ingredient in there that's given you some trouble. But if it's just a matter of a breakout here or there, know that that's probably going back to that adjustment period that you might need. The next reason why your skin might be breaking out, and this is honestly the most common, is using dirty makeup brushes. So because we use our brushes to apply the makeup and they are a synthetic blend, if you are using your own brushes that maybe aren't synthetic and they've got soak up some of the liquid, or if you've used a liquid product in the past, there could be moisture that's being trapped in those bristles that sometimes can develop like mold. Like I know that's something that kind of irritates my skin. So you're going to want to clean your brushes. And our brush cleanser is incredible. You can use any brush cleanser, but ours is so great because it makes your brushes dry. It sanitizes them. So it's going to get rid of any of the gunkiness, the ickiness that's going to cause those breakouts from the bacteria, especially if you're sharing, maybe you're an artist and you shared your brush. I know anytime I accidentally use a brush that's from my kit and not my own personal makeup, I will sometimes get a breakout. And even if it's on my daughter or my mom or somebody, when you're mixing the different, the microbiome, I don't know, I just made that up, but like the different levels of bacteria from one face to the other, your skin's going to freak out. And so make sure that you're using clean brushes. You don't have to clean them every time you use them. Every week, couple weeks, once a month, it's fine. But if you're seeing that it's gunky and you're seeing a lot of product on your brush, more than likely you might be using more than what you need. So keep that in mind. But also that probably means it's definitely time to give those brushes a clean slate. Okay, so another question is, do I have to use all of the same products? What if you already have a makeup line that you love, or maybe it's an eyeliner that you love, or a concealer that you love, a lipstick, maybe you prefer like a long wear lipstick. You guys, there is totally freedom. The fact that all of the makeup fits in one custom compact is amazing, but the custom part means that you can get and choose and use the items that you love to integrate. So if you have a pencil eyeliner or a brow color or something that you absolutely love, use it. There's no rules here. The fact that it simplifies it is just one of the many benefits of using Saint, but it's certainly not something that you absolutely have to use all of the products in order to have the best results. So one of the one exceptions, I would say the brushes. It's really difficult to find brushes that apply the product as well as ours. And our brushes, because they're double-ended, wind up being very affordable for the super high quality that they are. And so a lot of times people will try to save money by using a random brush that they own. And sometimes I find that doesn't lend to the best application. And again, our goal is to make sure that you absolutely love this makeup. Okay, lastly, if you love the way the makeup looks, but you prefer a more matte finish, which sometimes I hear this, especially from people who are used to using a powder and are quite used to the benefits of a cream, you can do two things. You can use a setting powder, just a really translucent, you don't want there to be any color that's going to fight with the 3D foundation, but a translucent setting powder. We have one called Vanilla Dust that's awesome, that can fit right in your palette. And I definitely highly recommend that one. Or you can use any translucent powder. So there's one called Airspun that is super inexpensive from Walmart or Amazon. That works great too if you prefer a little light dusting of a translucent setting powder. But if you already have one, you can totally try that and use it. But just putting that in the key places, especially anywhere you might get a little oily, might help mattify to where you love it. And then also our setting spray, or really, again, any setting spray that you want to use with the makeup, ours smells so good. And it definitely can help your makeup stay put and last. If you live in a really humid climate, or if it's during the summertime, or again, you just want that little extra bit of staying power, spraying a little bit of the setting spray before and after can be a way that you can lock your makeup in place for sure. So I hope these tips were helpful in making sure that you fall in love with this makeup, and feel free to get with the artist that color matched you if you have any more questions. Thanks.